Hello, my people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching me from. My name is Chinedu Anichi, your one and only celebrity CSO. And this is Chinedu Anichi TV, streaming live from United States of America, to be precise, from St. Louis, Missouri. And today we'll be having one of our big brothers, and today we're having um, an expert in cybersecurity. So today we'll be handling a proactive approach to cybersecurity in Africa. And that is what our brother, Engineer Ben Ugwuja of Cybergon Cybersecurity Services, we sought for him, and today, as an expert, he's in the show. So let me humbly bring our brother, um, Engineer Ben, to the show. Um, Engineer Ben,
Viewers.
how are you? How are you
I'm
doing?
good. I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Alichi
Yeah.
Chinedu.
So, yeah, Engineer Ben, you are here today on Chinedu Anichi TV, the African voice in diaspora, and you're welcome to the
Well,
show.
I'm delighted to be here.
So you
Thank you
remember
also.
today we'll be handling. Let's just go straight to the point. But before we go there, I want to ask you something.
Okay.
Um, Today you are a cybersecurity guru. You're an expert. You can be referred to as an
Yeah.
authority. So, what was your beginning like? Was it rosy before this glory, or can you share a story that led to this glory?
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I want to greet viewers all over the world, from Africa, from Asia, from America, everywhere. So I want to welcome you. It wasn't rosy, sir. It wasn't because it started 24 years ago. Yes, then there was nothing like computer. It wasn't so common the way you see computers in schools. People don't know anything about computers. But somehow, my father was in the government. He went for training somewhere, and they introduced computers to them. So when he came home, he said, "I must go for this computer." And he introduced me somewhere. I went for different trainings, and after that, I had to connect myself to a particular staff, then working with CBN Lagos. So they had this computer they dumped. It was faulty. Someone who just came out from a training college, you have this urge and strength in you to explore. I saw a dumped PC very close to the CBN gate. They were no longer making use of it. And I saw a CBN staff very close. And I said, "Sir, can I use this computer?" He said it's no longer good, it's faulty. I said I will fix it. He said, "No problem, you can go with this if you can fix it. Once you are done, return to me, let me know if you were able to fix it." So I started with that computer. I was able to fix the computer, and I was using a monochrome system. Like, I don't know if you have seen this big boss. It was just two color, blue and white, 24 years ago. You see, so it wasn't rosy. We started working with crude computer systems and equipment. We started typing with Mavis Bacon typewriters and all that. Unlike now that you have Mavis Bacon on PCs and laptops, making things very easy. So the journey has not been easy because the money wasn't coming. You understand? It was the passion that kept me, and the zeal to secure the cyberspace. And you could remember then the system and the government wasn't favoring us that were into cybersecurity. Because if you come out to say you're into cybersecurity or you're an ethical hacker, people would believe that you're a bad person, or you are malicious, you are a criminal, or you are this or that. So the market wasn't favorable to us, you see. So those were the challenges I passed through, and I'm happy today that the system is now favoring us because everywhere is under attack, and they need us to secure the space. You see, yes,
Okay,
yeah.
my brother. Okay, that's great. At least your passion kept you despite the choking, angry situations around, but
Mm.
you navigated yourself to expertise, and today you can be referred to as an authority. So,
Mm.
um,
Thank God for
okay.
that.
So I want to ask you something about
Yes.
what what is it that inspired you? What made
Okay.
the push for you to go into cybersecurity? Why did you think you have to spend these 24 years trying to, you know, dedicate your time, your money, and your energy to securing the cyberspace? What is the propelling principle?
Yes. Many years ago, I discovered a gap. I started with just normal IT engineering where I fixed things, networks, computers, and all that. But at the same time, I discovered that something was missing. Yes, there was no security in some of these systems. The cyberspace was so porous. Everywhere was just so porous, under attack. And I said, okay, what if I dedicate myself to this thing? Let me go into it fully. Because nobody took it like a full time career. We had people into cybersecurity, but they were not fully into cybersecurity. Like they had other things doing, probably networking. They just attached themselves to cybersecurity. But I said I want to do just security because I have the passion for security. I want to secure things. I want to protect. You understand? And again, after my years of acquiring skills and experience, I discovered that with the level of skill I've acquired, it is possible for me to be malicious. But I said, okay, what if I decide to be different? Now, it wasn't easy for me because people would say, this thing you are doing, you can do it the negative way and make more money. So why are you suffering? But I believed that I can still make it without going black. I can have a black skill, a black hat skill, and not do things the other way. You see, so I thought of all these things I said that I am going to go into security full time. I'm going to do it full time. I decided to dig deep into it. I started to connect with people, with the whites and other companies that are there. In fact, when I started connecting with some big companies, there are just few of them in Africa that were into
Wow,
cybersecurity. Just a few of them
wow,
in the whole of Africa. So in Nigeria today, especially in West Africa, where I work, that is Cybergon Cybersecurity, the first company to connect about four major cybersecurity companies in the USA. You
wow.
understand? Because we started connecting with them before other companies could even think about cybersecurity. People were just majorly into IT, networking, server infrastructure installations, and all that. So, but we say, okay, we want to specialize. Just like you have general medicine and then you have gynecologists. We say, okay, we want to be a specialist. We want to be the gynecologist or the neurologist in IT. So that is exactly what has kept me in cybersecurity.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a good, that's something good. Man, that's good,
It
my
hasn't been
brother.
easy with the
Yeah.
challenges. Yes, with the challenges everywhere, including from home, from parents. They say people praise you, you have this skill, but there's nothing is coming. Why not go and do this? Why not go and do that? Different suggestions and pressure coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
But I knew and I was convinced that someday it's going to pay because the government they weren't paying attention to cybersecurity. And I said, what can I do to bring these people, to make them, to buy them in, to make them understand that they are vulnerable and they need to pay attention to their security? I started digging deep into the cyberspace. I was digging out lots of things and then exposing it to them. You see, now this started ringing into their head. They said, wow, so we have been vulnerable. I created a campaign, 92% of the cyberspace was vulnerable at that time. I was informing providing intels for different agencies about how vulnerable they were, including security agencies. It happened for more than 10 years. I was disturbing, imagine as a private cybersecurity expert, I was disturbing government law security agencies that you are vulnerable, protect yourself. I'll be disturbing them every year. So it hasn't been easy, but thank God.
Okay, that's
Yes,
so wonderful, and I am happy, Engineer Ben, that you're here today. And by God's grace, cyberspace is no more a place of joke.
yes,
So if things were not well fixed, then I think it's not the same. It's no more the same thing here today.
yes,
So
exactly.
especially when if you navigate your way, even at home, you can. In fact, cyber security, you don't need to travel abroad. You don't need to. You anywhere you are, you're working,
Yes,
and it's
yes,
paying great. You see, big companies of the world cannot do without you people. So,
exactly.
in fact, no organization is secure without
Mm,
cybersecurity. You know,
mm.
so okay, let's go into the business of the day because a lot of people will be listening to you today. You know, it's not everybody that knows about cybersecurity. That's why I decided to bring you today and let's touch this part of us. Okay, let me ask you, what are some of the most significant security threats facing African countries and organizations today? And how can this your approach or this our approach help, prevent some of these attacks?
Yes, for the African countries, we have lots of threats on the cyberspace. Okay, number one of them is phishing. Now, where you have organizations that are vulnerable to phishing attacks, where you can perform spoofing on their emails, corporate emails, and then send them malicious emails to bypass security systems, to hijack credentials, or to infiltrate data, or whatever. So it's something that calls for urgent attention, a thing of concern, because the African space is vulnerable to phishing. I can say that to about 65% now. Formerly, it was 80%, but some countries have begun to pay attention to this. So phishing is a major threat because lots of organizations, government agencies, governments, they have not implemented or done what they should do to protect uh, their citizens, to protect organizations from phishing threat, which is one of the ways a hacker can penetrate into the system or organizational server. The thing is, if you have hardened your server, you have invested enough, raised enough capital to deploy equipment to protect your server or your infrastructure, be it on premises or cloud. Now that is fine. If the hacker cannot break into the defense system, the hacker passes through the user of the computer through any of the technique, including phishing. That is why it's a threat, you see, and a very big one, because that can open a wider loophole for other threats. Once one becomes a victim, the hacker can also penetrate and then gain persistence. Once the hacker sits there on that system or the server, the hacker can do anything at all. The hacker can harvest credentials, perform privilege escalation, supply chain attack, and the rest of them. There are lots of them. So phishing, most importantly. Again, we have ransomware attack. Enough awareness have not been created on this, and the infrastructure being deployed by a lot of countries in Africa, they're not enough. They're not strong enough to protect critical systems from ransomware attack. And why did I say that? Cybersecurity is not cheap. Okay, if you have defenses that can protect you, they are quite expensive. Just like you have the air defense system in some of these developed countries, the ones that are highly sophisticated that can trap any kind of missile, they are expensive. So that is how it is in cybersecurity. So we have expensive tools, technologies that can trap some of these malwares, but they're expensive, you see. So ransomware is a big threat because once it encrypts your data, okay, once they encrypt your data, you have to pay a huge sum of money. Now it's going to be in dollars. Now it is 50-50. You can pay the money, it's possible, you pay the money and you will not have your files back. So you lose your file, you lose your money. So it's another way for hackers to extort people because you have to pay a ransom to get your files back. And then after you have made first payment, they can still deny that they haven't received the money because it has to be in cryptocurrency. They haven't received the money. You make another payment until you're exhausted. So it's another form of extortion, you see. So in Africa here, we are having this challenge. It's a big threat, ransomware. And the one way of propagation is quite easy. It's quite easy to penetrate systems in Africa. Africans, they are beginning to wake up, although they have not done all they should do to be able to protect themselves for this threat that is for ransomware. And then we have other threats that are very common, like DDoS attack and denial of service, which is very common. You see lots of servers that are vulnerable to this kind of attack, where a hacker from the outside can disrupt services, servers from working. He doesn't need to be around the country. He can be anywhere. He will send traffic and commands from his terminal to their own server, and he disrupts whatever they are doing, and he can keep them for hours, for days, for weeks, depending on his capability. You see that? So Africa has not paid attention to that to be able to block some of these threats. You know, like today, I'm in Kano. We came for security implementation at CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, Kano. And we talked about some of these threats also ravaging the financial sector. You see, so we also have database attack. Okay, most especially the SQL injection. Now it's just like the normal injection the doctors and nurses give. Once you inject someone, probably you are trying to inject a gentamicin into the person. So it's a drug that reacts once it enters the body. That is how it is with SQL injection or other forms of injection in hacking. So once you inject a code or a malicious code to a server begins to misbehave, you see, or creates a loophole for you to perform other forms of attack, which is very, very predominant in Africa. Most servers, I can say up to 70% of them, they are vulnerable to one form of injection or the other, most especially SQL, where you have access to the database of their server. You can administrate credentials. You can see all the probably those employees from the organization. If it's an institution, you see the students. If it's just like last year, yes, 4 or 5 years, last year, we called a big school in Nigeria, a federal school, and we're telling them about the possibility of a hacker penetrating their server and exfiltrating their data, that is students' data and employee data. That we were telling them that it was possible for a hacker to download their database. Now, the contact person told us that they were on their way to another country for a cybersecurity training. While we were telling them that their house was on fire, they didn't pay attention to us. So 5 months later, okay, now malicious hackers hacked the website. This is a very popular federal university in Nigeria, and placed this site has been hacked on it. The dates that we're talking is still there. You see, so it's a big threat to Africa, to West Africa, to Nigeria, everywhere. SQL injection. If we run some of these commands that pulls out servers that are vulnerable, you can see even Africa, we occupy about 40% of the vulnerable countries in the world. So another one that is very common is spoofing. Spoofing. Now, it is very possible for an attacker to send a malicious email using an email of an organization, making it look real. Because, you know, there have been lots of awareness on how to detect malicious email. Then you can check the sender's email. If it doesn't match the email of the organization, then you begin to suspend it. But there are other ways where the hacker spoofs the real email of the organization. That is, if you have something like ben.ugwuja@cybergon.co, then it is possible for a hacker to send an email to someone, probably peter.musa@cybergon.co, sends an email using my email to Peter Musa. And when Peter opens his email, Peter will see that the message came from ben.ugwuja@cybergon.co. You see that? So it clears the doubt. Peter Musa would definitely believe the instruction in that email. That is spoofing. You see that? So once they are vulnerable to these things, it is very possible and easy for the hacker to penetrate. So those are the few ones I can give out now. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, Engineer Ben, you're really an expert, and it is clear to our audience that we'll have an expert in the house today. And you can see a lot of things Africans are really suffering because these things, we cannot deny it. These are things we are seeing every day. Oh my God. Thank you, Ben, for all this, and we're so happy. And we just pray that the organizations in Africa and oh my God, yeah, thank you. I think okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very
Ben.
much.
I say you really proved that you're an expert today, and we
Okay.
just pray that the organizations in Africa will pay attention to people like you who have really dedicated time to underscore the secret of this attack and been able to nurse up some ideologies or cyber security techniques to, match them bomber to bomber and make sure they don't molest us in the cyberspace.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I appreciate your contribution.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben, for coming.
Yes.
I want to ask you something again. How can African governments, business, and individuals prioritize cybersecurity in their operations? And what are some effective strategies for implementing a proactive cybersecurity culture?
All right. Proactive strategy. Very, very important in cyberspace defense, because if you are not proactive, for example, we expect you to be 101% reactive. Otherwise, you become a palliative to the hacker.
Wow.
Now, what do you mean by proactivity? You don't wait for your house to be on fire because before you take precautions or do the necessary things. If you have a gas cooker at home, for example, you need to be careful, take precautions, check the pipes from time to time to make sure that there are no leaks so that there'll be no cause for alarm later. That is how it works in cybersecurity also. So the proactive measures there are the things you need to do to make sure you are secured, to make sure you have strengthened your defense line, to make sure you are not making it easy for the hacker. Now, there's something I need to state that is very clear. There is no 100% security. No military anywhere, no government anywhere can guarantee 100%, but 99% is possible.
Sure.
Now, you take these precautions, you implement or do whatever you need to do to secure yourself. That is proactivity cybersecurity. And then the strategies, number one, is to be aware of these threats. Once you are aware of these threats, of course, you have reduced the chances of being a victim. If you're up to date, you have reduced the chances of being hacked. You see, that's exactly what is happening. Presently, some days ago, Palo Alto released lots of vulnerabilities on their router and other devices. Now, they did that for IT professionals, cybersecurity professionals to swing into action and begin to patch their systems, begin to update their systems. But some persons, somehow, they're not even aware of this. They will allow their routers to be vulnerable for like a year. And don't forget that there are hunters. We call them threat hunters. They are searching for those that are vulnerable, those that are careless, okay, those that will become their victim. So if you don't take proactive measure, you become the victim. If you don't strengthen your defense line, you become the victim. So you need to know the threats, you need to know the vulnerabilities, you need to know the weaknesses that are out there on the infrastructure you manage or you use. For example, if you use an iPhone, a particular version or an Android device or a PC, Windows or Mac, each version has every day, weekly, there are patches or updates released for you to protect or secure that system. Now, if you are not well informed about these threats, vulnerabilities, and weaknesses, you might end up ignoring them and then opening a port or a loophole or a gap for the hacker to penetrate. So awareness is key. Being up to date is key. You see. Then number two is to perform what we call vulnerability assessment. You don't need the manufacturer or the developer to always inform you about this threats. On your own, you should be able to make research. I'm talking to professionals now that are handling big infrastructures in organizations, banks, and companies. You need to make your own research because we have what we call zero-day vulnerability. Now, these vulnerabilities are vulnerabilities that the manufacturers or developers are not aware of. They can only report what they know, but a hacker can bypass their security defenses, okay, and exploit those vulnerabilities without them knowing. So now the hacker may decide to expose these vulnerabilities or inform them, or rather report them to the manufacturer or developer. Can say, oh, Microsoft, this product, Microsoft Office, so year is vulnerable to this attack and this. Now they will take it up and then expose it to all, provide a patch for people to update. But before that, it is possible for same hacker to have exploited people using that product before reporting them. That is why it is important for you as a professional to make your own research, always scan, okay, perform vulnerability assessment, perform security auditing to strengthen your defenses, review loopholes. Why these loopholes are there? They have to be there. Why? I will tell you. On your phone, you download apps every day. Now, these apps you see, they are third-party applications. Once they are on your phone or device, they have opened another path to another server. Now, if any of the apps on your device has not been updated, or probably they are vulnerable to one attack or the other, it has opened a pathway for the hacker to your device. So it is very, very easy for the hacker to penetrate if one of the apps or softwares you have on your device is vulnerable. You see, now you can see that security demands focused attention. You don't engage someone who is not fully into cybersecurity to manage your security. Just like you don't call a plumber to secure you, to be your security at probably a workplace or your home. Okay, you need someone who is into security full time, that understands what it takes to be on guard. So he needs to be proactive in the day, at night, every hour. Security persons, physically, they do not sleep. The military and the war front, of course, they can close their eyes, but they've been taught to be at alert. That is how it works on the cyberspace. You have to be at alert. That is number 3. Adequate monitoring. Adequate monitoring. Organizations need to deploy infrastructure to monitor their cyberspace for threats. Very important. Now, so many companies have been breached. They have their private data on the cyberspace, private data, sensitive data on the darknet, and they're not aware. Now we have what we call darknet monitoring, where you can You can place some tag of some keywords to allow the darknet inform you or notify you whenever someone uploads your data on the darknet. You know, darknet is for malicious acts. People can sell your BVN, NIN, SSN, credit card that they have hacked from you. They can sell them on the darknet, and other persons can use them for fraud, for various things that will fetch them money. You see, and that will implicate the organization or the individual. You see, so proactivity in cybersecurity is key in strengthening the defense. That is a good strategy once you have implemented all you need to do in terms of monitoring the cyberspace. And that is what most security companies, security agencies, that is what they do. They monitor everywhere. You have to monitor, you have to mount surveillance. You have to engage with the cyberspace all the time. So anytime you fall asleep, then the hacker can come in. Of course, in one of the Christian books, I think there's somewhere written that once you fall asleep, the enemy comes into so thoughts or those who are Christians who go to church, they know how to quote that part very well. But I'm sure, but I'm sure there is something like that. There is something like that. Yes.
Yeah. It said when you are asleep, the enemy
Yes.
comes to sow
Yes.
weed. You know, after
Aha.
cultivating, the enemy comes to sow weed. You know,
Aha.
so
Yes, that is it.
one need to be vigilant. So
Yes. Yeah.
so
Yes, that is it.
go ahead,
Exactly.
Engineer Ben. Go ahead.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is
Yes.
interesting.
So
This is very
you need to
interesting.
monitor. Yes, you need to monitor your cyberspace, and of course, monitoring does not require much capital or much implementation. There are some softwares and tools that can allow you, even as an individual, you can monitor your private data. You can have some servers report or send a notification if there's a breach. Now, if we have about 100 persons watching this live stream, now if we ask 100 million persons to check a particular database, okay, I can call it, let them check. But if they check, you find out that about 60% of the 100 million persons have been breached, but they're not aware. Now, the thing is, you register, you upload your details on different platforms because you trust them. You are handing over your data to them. Now, how secure are they? Once their database gets hacked, everything there, including your details, whatever you've uploaded, including credit card, including international passport or whatever, gets hijacked to the darknet, and it will be there for sale. Now, there are lots of databases we have seen, many PII being exposed. Now, you begin to see direct address, you begin to see financial information, you begin to see credit card, lots of things, and these persons are not aware. Yes, they're not aware. So malicious persons will hijack this information and begin to perform a lot of things. You see, there's no magic in this thing. You see, once you don't monitor them, you have created a vacuum. You have created a loophole. Just like if you are not vigilant, you don't have, let me use CCTV that people know. You didn't mount CCTV around your house. CCTV, apart from surveillance, what it does in security is deterrence. You understand? If you have someone who has been planning to come do anything malicious, notices you have CCTV installed, he'll be very careful. Then he will retreat to plan very well before he will attack. So that is what surveillance does and monitoring. Once you are on the cyberspace, monitoring your PII, organizational data, of course, once there's a breach, anyone hijacks your credential, it is uploaded anywhere on the darknet. Anybody makes any bad statement about you that is false, okay, that can cause reputational damage. It's part of what we're talking about. Yes, security is for everything, everyone, including the human being. Your name should be secure. Your identity, your reputation should be secure. Reputation of the organization also should be secure. Because once you get hacked, for example, let's assume your private conversation have been leaked, private video leaked, and other things. It affects the reputation of that individual. If it's for the organization, it affects the reputation of the organization. Investors will run away, stakeholders will run away. A lot of people, they will lose customers because they'll be like, if you cannot secure our data, so how can you secure our money? You see, so it's a thing of concern. Adequate monitoring, one of the proactive measures. Another one is, which is what we should pay attention to, is awareness and training. Not just one-time training, training and retraining. You see, one of the reasons we came to Kano, from Kano we are going to another state. You see, now some organizations, they are prioritizing training because it is necessary. Awareness is necessary. People who do business, they always advertise their products, because once you make a stamp on people's heart about a particular product or service, you will always remember it. So if you teach people about best practices on security, they'll be very careful when they are handling some sensitive data. That is the importance of awareness and training. And in Africa, they are not doing enough. Yeah, they are not doing enough. They're not doing enough. I just hope they could step up their campaign on cybersecurity, data protection. You see, some countries are beginning to wake up. I'm happy for Nigeria. Of course, the development of the Act 2023, NDPA Act, and the regulation of 2019 from NIDA, NDPR 2019 Act. Okay, so all these things are frameworks geared to strengthen cybersecurity in Nigeria and the cyberspace at large. Even the development of other agencies from the NSA, Center for Cybersecurity, and that of defense from the military, Defense Space Administration. So some countries are beginning to wake up, and then we are happy for that they are prioritizing security for the nation. Other countries like Cameroon, they are also creating that awareness. They are training staff, they are training CISOs, they are training IT professionals, and South Africa, Ghana also, we are working on that. So Africa is growing. We are growing up, while we have others that have not prioritized cybersecurity. We want them to wake up. We want them to understand that it's a global threat, just like we have the threat of climate change. Also, they should also see this as something of an emergency, of course, because the last time we were at a particular security agency, government security agency, one that we have been informing them for about 10 years now concerning a particular vulnerability on their server, we made some demonstrations, okay, concerning those vulnerabilities inside the demonstration room that was given to us. Now, after that demonstration, it was just 3 to 4 months, they were able to fix it. You see that? They were able to fix it. And then once the organization fixes that vulnerability, now, another thing they should do is to be proactive in protecting what they have deployed. If you have deployed an infrastructure, you do not maintain it, it becomes vulnerable. One of the causes of all these things is just that they don't maintain, but we'll come to that. You see, we'll come to that. Africa is growing, and it calls for a big concern that some organizations, especially some sectors, so the sectors that are prioritizing this mostly are the financial sectors, but we want other sectors to come in: the oil and gas, the educational institutions, the health sector, very important. Of course, WHO would always want data. You see statistics on, for example, people living with HIV and all that. People go for tests to some of these medical centers, and they have their data. A hacker can break in and expose this data, which can cause a lot of psychological damage to that individual. So we want all these sectors to come in and become proactive to implement cybersecurity and protect the cyberspace. The thing is, they're not just protecting their data, they are protecting, including their patients, they are protecting their reputation. You see, they're protecting everything about their practice. Yes, because if your patient become a victim, their data exposed on the darknet, then it will look as if you don't know what you are doing. They will ask you, doctor, how come? What happened? You see, and then you begin to speak. We have different implementations for different sectors. Like for the health sector, we have what we call HIPAA. There are best practices, what you should do to protect patient data from being hacked. So when they get to know these things and apply them proactively, at least some defense line will be strengthened. You see, you cannot holistically put away the hacker, but you can deter the hacker or make it uneasy for the hacker to penetrate. Yes, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Engineer Ben. I think
Yes.
when you were talking in chat, all this my credit card I'm uploading every day, I'm becoming afraid because here now you cannot buy anything, you cannot order for anything if you
Yes,
don't
yes,
but I just also believe
yes,
that the organizations and the organizations we have here, they are also working seriously to make sure that hackers don't attack them, because it will be too bad, because everybody is using um, credit card and debit card, and
yes,
everything is contained. And there they will say address, even your address.
yes,
Your card cannot go if you don't put the address, payment
exactly.
address, all this. So everything is virtually around there. And sometimes they to authenticate the claim, they have to they ask you to upload your ID, maybe your driver's
Yes.
license or whatever. So everything is in the space. So
Yes,
people should, any organization that is joking with the cyberspace, I think they are risking a lot of people's safety and financial and
yes,
physical. So thank you,
exactly.
my brother. Thank you, Engineer Ben. I
Thank
think
you very
we're
much.
so happy that you're here today, and what you are saying is something that Africans and Nigerians need to hear, and they are hearing.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
So
Thank you very much.
let's moving forward. I wanted to ask you the role education and awareness play in promoting a proactive approach. But from the first question, you already dived into it.
Okay.
When you were talking about training and retraining. But the second part of the question is, how can stakeholders work together to develop effective cybersecurity training? So, like Nigeria, like organizations, what do you think? What's your advice? What's your suggestion? Because
Yes.
the relevance of education and awareness, you've already touched it, and it's part of this
Mm,
question. I can't go
okay.
back to that. But how can, as a development on this answer,
Mm.
how can stakeholders work to make sure all these things, the programs are
Yes.
put in place to be aware?
Yes. Just like I said, what we are doing, we are CBN consultants on cybersecurity and data protection, and we are also CBN stakeholders. They brought us in to train their staff on cybersecurity and data protection. So moving from one state or the other, we'll also be implementing other things for them and post consultancy and all that. Now, the thing is, even the Interpol have said it. For any nation or government to prosper, they have to engage stakeholders, they have to engage professionals, they have to engage the consultants. The reason is I have spent 22 years just on one thing, developing myself on one course. But those who are occupying some of those positions, they have other things doing. You see, they they are not fully into what they are practicing. They are working for 35 years or what the number of years that their own law approves. They work for a number of years and they will retire. It's quite different from someone who can only eat if only he has solved the problem of an organization. So he develops himself every day, every hour to meet up with the expectation and the international standard. Now, the way it works, the stakeholders, of course, they have to collaborate with organizations. They'll collaborate with governments to provide trainings, to provide engagements, to provide awareness. including you. You are a stakeholder. The government should also consult people like you. So they host sections on cybersecurity, host sections on data protection to create the awareness, because they cannot do it alone. They need to connect to people who have a global presence like yours. You see, to enlighten people on the impact of cyber attack. There are things, of course, people would hear. It will hit them, and they will become conscious. You see, just like I was telling the participants at the CBN Learning Center today. Of course, we have the social media, and then most people trust whatever they see there. But most especially if you see a sponsored ad, then what would come to your mind would be that the social media company approved the ad, probably because they have done their verification and they trusted whoever that made the payment and posted the advert. But somehow people are abusing it. People will be selling things that do not exist, malicious links that links you to a fake login page to harvest your credentials, Gmail password, Facebook password, and other passwords. And they will put this advert online, and it will be running like a sponsored ad, paid ad. People will be clicking on them. You see now. So when they are aware of all these things, it will reduce the amount of threats and attack. So awareness is key. Stakeholders need to be engaged from all levels. Okay, people with global presence covering Africa and other nations globally should be engaged. Professionals, IT security experts should be engaged to provide training. Now, this training is not just for a specific group, probably. Of course, we have specialized trainings for probably people in the IT sections, or probably protection sections or legal sections and all that. Also, we have basic foundational training or awareness training for everybody. Everyone needs to be aware, including those in the market. You see, everyone needs to. We have people in the market that get hacked every day. You see someone called mama, papa, because they don't understand these things. Someone can call them, spoofed a particular bank phone, calls the woman or the man that doesn't understand these things, and begin to speak in the language of the bankers, that a particular code was sent to you. You want to do this, you want to do that. Unknowing to them, they will forward the code, and all their lifetime earnings will be wiped out. They will cry. You know, most of them, they will already have one illness or the other, and that could kill them because of the pressure that will come from that and other psychological impact. You see, so stakeholders need to be engaged so that the awareness or the campaign can reach everyone, including those in remote areas, even those in any part of the world, using any kind of media. They should be able to understand and be enlightened on how to protect themselves online. Thank you.
Hey, yeah, we need to be involved.
Yes, exactly.
I think I'm doing my best, at least bringing you here. Do you know how many thousands of people will just be aware of all this for just your teaching today? You know what it is. So at least, oh my God. See, you know how many people that will listen to this today? It will be great. And
Yes.
I'll be so happy
Yes.
that this is happening in my show.
I
I'm so
must
happy.
mention that the United Nations and other global organizations, they are trying. Okay, just that I can only say that the channels which they are using to do some of these things probably might not be giving the desired result. So they need to extend their channels, look for people who can actually do this thing, create the awareness, the campaign to reach the desired persons, which is very, very important. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I think this is great. This is great, and I won't hesitate to plan with you to be having you maybe once a month or once in 2 months. All these things are very possible. I think I'll create a program for you in this show.
Okay. All right.
So just take it from me. You know, this is a very
Okay.
important part of. I think I'll create if it's monthly, maybe first Monday or first anything of the month, We'll be having
Okay.
cybersecurity training in the show. At least people will
Wow.
know and
Wow.
people will
Wow.
come.
Wow.
I think that's what we'll do. Because
Okay.
when we have people like you, what is it? So this is the reason why we established this platform. I'm already thinking
Wow.
in the dimension when you are talking because people need to know all this. This is the reason why we are here. This is the reason we have the resources. This is the reason why, because you see what I'm doing is not just social media something. You are an expert
Yes.
already. So this is already a TV software, you
Wow.
know,
Yeah, I saw
that
that. I
I
saw that.
only have social media as a third party for where I channel to talk to people, for people to listen. For me to establish the software personally, that I can go to LinkedIn, I can go to have the I have like 9 destinations of self platform. As we're talking now, they are listening to you on Facebook Live,
Mm.
they are listening to
Yes.
you on YouTube Live, they are listening to you
Mm.
on Instagram Live, and LinkedIn Live as I'm talking to you now. So,
Wow.
and then we can extend it to nine other platforms that can. So, I think it's a good space for people, somebody like you, to talk to people, and people engage you, people reach out to you, people use the opportunity. Next time, for doing this kind of thing, once you put your name, you put your phone number, phone number, so people reach out to you from any part of the world. Cybersecurity is not just from here. Google can hear you. Nobody knows who is listening to us.
That's true.
Do you
That's true.
understand? Yeah. So
Yes.
the other day, I engaged a woman. I never knew she's the CEO and founder and owner of VMH magazine in US.
Wow.
The
Wow.
magazine that carries a lot of things, you know that if you appear in that magazine in US, you have become a celebrity. So I didn't know I was interviewing somebody as big as that in this my show. Do you understand? So you never can
Yes.
tell who is listening to who.
That's true.
And bro, I'm proud of you. You're an expert. I
Thank you
never
very
sent any
much.
questions to you.
Thank you very
You
much.
know, this is a live show of
Mm.
you know what you're doing. Do you
Thank
understand?
you.
So we
Thank you.
need to
Yes.
help you, and the only help
Thank
I
you.
cannot offer, just like the stakeholder, is to offer my platform. We
All
create
right.
an avenue that every month you come with different topics. You come with different
Wow.
topics.
Wow. Wow.
So we publicize it to a month, a week before. We do a flyer just like we did before and put the
Yes.
topic of the day. I think it will help our people. A
Sure,
lot
it
of
will.
people will come and listen to it.
It will. It will. Yes, it will.
So,
That's a good idea. It will. Yes.
how can African countries leverage technology such as artificial intelligence and machine learning to enhance their cyber security capacity and stay ahead of emerging threats? How can African
Yes.
countries deploy AI and other things to make sure they stay ahead of these attacks?
Now, AI came to help, but most people don't understand. It enhances your capabilities. For example, if I was spending 5 hours to perform an action involving AI, I'll be able to do it probably in 30 minutes or 1 hour. You see now. So African countries, of course, a lot of the countries, they have not fully integrated AI and machine learning into cybersecurity. What can AI do? Number one, automation. I mentioned security monitoring. AI can monitor the cyberspace for you. You see that? Now, so if you don't need to sit in front of your laptop 24 hours to monitor the cyberspace, of course, you might need to visit to perform other actions because AI cannot do all. Of course, even AI itself, once you, for example, like your ChatGPT, if you have gathered any information, it tells you that this is not 100% correct. You can also confirm these details and all that. That is how AI works. So, of course, the man or the person needs to be there, but AI can then enhance their capability. AI can automate their task. Security monitoring, AI can automate auditing, security auditing. AI can discover vulnerabilities and report them. AI can perform impact assessment, risk assessment. AI can dig out threats and report them. For example, if we have activated that, on a daily basis, you'll be receiving notifications, alerts about emerging threats, about current vulnerabilities, about current weaknesses and exposures and all that. So you'll be receiving them, probably your email or whatever you have configured. So AI makes it easy for you as a person in the security field. AI makes it very easy for the organization. But the challenge there is that most people have not really embraced it. The reason is because they are looking at it that, one, that it might be expensive. Number two, those that are in the IT section, they are afraid that it might displace them. That when the director finds out that AI can do probably some of what they can do, if they were 5 staff, they will now reduce them to 2. So the that's African factor, mentality. What they will do is they will tell the board of directors that this thing can't work here. You see, so but but if Africa can embrace AI and machine learning, there are lots of tools, lots of technologies that can do a lot of things. For example, pen testing. Try to break into system servers ethically to discover vulnerabilities and loopholes. AI can be deployed to do these things on a daily basis. Now, the thing with, for example, we have white box tests, gray box tests, and black box. White box is when you provide credentials to the hacker in a controlled environment. Okay, you tell him, okay, now I want to give you this environment. Try to break into it to discover vulnerabilities and loopholes. That is white box. But when you have black box, you don't provide anything. He's outside somewhere in a different country trying to hack you. You see, he's hacking you for your own good to inform you about your gaps, loopholes, and vulnerabilities and weaknesses. He informs you, then you fix it. You see that? But now, the thing is, engaging him, there are 2 things involved. The character of the black hat hacker. A black hat is someone who has a malicious skill. Of course, he has the skill, but he abuses it. So his character there is in question. Now, most people, they do not want to give out enough information, give out much privilege to a hacker to try to pen test. But if you can deploy AI, now AI can run this thing for you to some extent while you monitor and provide the result, probably give the result out to an analyst to analyze for you. I don't know if you understand. So if organizations that are having trust issues, probably they are handling sensitive data, AI can enhance the capabilities of their IT personnel if they need to run, because what is required in some security framework that you have to pen test for at least twice in a year. Organizations see that it is expensive, calling a pen tester to come and run pen tests twice in a year. So leveraging on AI and machine learning, they'll be able to do it, even if they want to do it 4 times. What you can do is to activate the code and you click on the button, the work is done. You see, so that is AI. So we want Africans to embrace AI. AI is a good thing. It's not from the devil. Yes.
Yes, all these things, I know that just like you said, there's nothing perfect, there's no security that is perfect, but 99% is possible. What are the challenges you think that the cybersecurity is facing in Africa, especially in the level of the medium enterprises, the small scale businesses in Africa? What are the possible challenges you have discovered with your long experience?
The first challenge is people are not reactive. We have talked about proactivity. Why did I come in from that angle of reactivity? Now, when you report a vulnerability to an organization, what they should do is to swing into action. Now, you tell a man that his house is on fire. What most Africans will do, most that I've discovered, that I've experienced, I've witnessed, most of them will even ignore your report. While some of them, politically, will want to make business out of it. What I mean is, instead of trying to fix the issue, they would want to cause some kind of delay, creating lots of impact like one we witnessed, we reported something to the person in charge. What he did was to redirect that report to somewhere else instead of giving it to the appropriate person for action to be taken. So at some point, we started asking, why did he do that? You see, then he was now telling us that, of course, he saw that what we brought was a good fit, but he needed to make some verifications to be sure that whatever we have given out is good. Okay, that is fine, but it took too long, up to 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We had no feedback. We had to go back and say, okay, what is happening? If your house is on fire, why are you delaying? If you think your house is not on fire, okay, of course, you can also send a feedback. Come and provide details of what you are saying. Some organizations have said that to us. If you say this thing is like this, come and prove it. We will not go and show it to them. Now, these people, some of them, they will not even, they will just ignore it. They think it's nothing. They don't understand the impact, you see, until it hits them. You understand me? Now, people are not reactive until something bad has happened. Remember a lot of NSAS in Nigeria, when some organizations were hacked by anonymous activists. Now, it was after that that some of them woke up for that incident, that even some of us began to benefit from cybersecurity. You see that? Because there's that saying the need to protect their cyberspace. Before then, when we tell them, they don't take it serious. One of the organizations that was hacked at that time, I trained their staff 6 months before that hack, and I informed them about the weaknesses and vulnerabilities on their server. In fact, in that training, I asked them that if you would want me to exploit it, provide me permissions, I will bring down the server. They said, no, don't do that. And they did not even report what happened to the director for them to fix it. And after some months, Anonymous took advantage of that and brought down the server. After that time, they upgraded their security system. So they were not reactive. If they were reactive, they would have responded, sent a signal to whoever that was in charge. Please, this young man said this, said this, said this. Please check and let's fix it. They didn't do that. And it caused a national embarrassment. Imagine a national infrastructure being brought down just because of a protest. I don't know if you understand. So they are not reactive. And I'm not happy about that.
I do.
Once you get the report, you get a signal on alert, swing into action immediately. There's every need to do that. So that's one of the challenge. Challenge number 2, lack of funding, adequate funding. Cybersecurity implementation is not cheap. You see, but of course, in our organization, we have developed a plan. We call it cybersecurity technology for everyone, for every level, whether it's small business, big business, or whatever. We have developed it. At the same time, it is affordable depending on the infrastructure you are installing. Okay, we have, for example, for big organizations, okay, where they want to install their routers and servers and security firewall and all that, there are resources or investment they need to make in that area. So we have broken it down so that everybody can have security and implement what they need to implement at a very affordable rate. You see that? So funding is a big issue. Most of the times, why people have not implemented cybersecurity is that they cannot afford it. It's not as if they don't know what to do, but they cannot afford it. The IT can send, for example, an invoice that they would need some amount of money to implement security or implement data protection or buy a firewall or do this or that. They will now begin to consider the expenses because they consider it to be an expense, but it is not. It's an investment. It is an investment, but they don't understand. Because if you do not invest in cybersecurity, you have a loss. It's an investment. Because when your reputation is being damaged, when you are being fined, because there is a fine attached to it. For example, if you do not implement in the EU, GDPR, and California CCPA, in Nigeria is NDPR, if you don't implement some of these things, you can be fined. In Nigeria, it's about 10 million. Other countries, about 5 million euro. We have 4%, 2% of your annual income. Those are big fines that can bankrupt an organization. You see, so they do not see it as an investment. If they begin to see it as an investment, they begin to deploy funds, they have big budget for cybersecurity, then that will provide enough security for the organization. So funding is a big issue. That's one of the challenge I've observed. Another challenge is this. Now we have laws, we have frameworks that are not being enforced. It's not to have a policy, it's to enforce that policy. In Nigeria, we have cybersecurity framework from the CBN. We have data protection from NIDA, NDPC, like that. We have other cybersecurity frameworks. We have that from the NSA. We have a lot of them, NGSAT, and the rest of them. Most of these things are not being enforced. If they were, there are lots of vulnerable organizations. They do not care because nobody is coming to. Now, last time, Fidelity Bank was fined over 500 billion for data breach. After that fine, other banks woke up. They were calling our organization just to come and implement because they have been there for years. Even when we inform them what they need to do, nobody calls it. But Fidelity Bank was fined over 500 billion. Everybody woke up. You see that? So there's no enforcement. Once there's enforcement, everybody will wake up. They become proactive and reactive. It's because there's no enforcement, there's nobody to arrest anybody, there's nobody to fine anybody. That is why we see things going the way they are going. So Africans need to wake up. They need to, for those that have policies, frameworks already running, they need to enforce them. Enforcement can strengthen security when it comes to cybersecurity and policy.
Yes. Hey, thank you, Engineer Ben. It has been good today. At least having you for 1 hour is, let's say, mind-blowing 1 hour, and nobody would want to stop. But just for respect and protocol for our show, we just have to put the cutting here. But before we do so, Ben, what's your general advice to Nigeria when it comes to cybersecurity?
Wow. I'll talk about the government first. From the government, I will now move to individuals. Of course, the government, they are trying on their own side. Just like I mentioned before, enforcement is the only problem I'm seeing. They are not enforcing the framework and the policies they have created to cope these attacks and threats. Once they start the enforcement, of course, we told one school that the government said they should implement cybersecurity data protection, which, of course, that is what is in the regulation. But they still don't understand. They look at it and say, this thing, we don't need it. Imagine a doctor saying they don't need drugs. It was even an IT director in that institution that told us that they don't need it. So once there's strict enforcement, there will be compliance. You see that? So from the side of the government, they should do better in terms of enforcement, enforcing the policies. And secondly, the government needs to also increase their budget for cybersecurity. I know if you approach different agencies to tell them, of course, they need to create awareness, do this or that. What you hear is there is no money for this or that. Probably the budget that have been allocated for cybersecurity is not enough, probably. And if they can increase that, just like they increase other budgets, allowances, they can also do same for cybersecurity. That is how they can strengthen the cyberspace. You see. And number 3 is to engage key stakeholders, just like you have said. You asked me. They need to engage people who are experts in the field. You don't just gather people who can write, who can prepare documents, gather them and say you want to prepare cybersecurity policy. That's what I've seen. When I look at these things, I just laugh because they are not broad and robust enough to cover all areas. You need to see some gaps and loopholes there and there. So they need to liaise with key stakeholders. They need to liaise with some top organizations, companies in Africa, in Nigeria, that are fully into security. When a man or a young person is fully into security, that means they have invested all their time and resources into cybersecurity. They are focused. You see, that is what the government need to do. And now for individuals, you don't need to wait for the government, because once you get hacked, of course, it hits you directly. Just like if you have 1 million or $1 million in your account and it gets hacked, you'll be the one to keep running to the bank to investigate. In some African countries, of course, you might not get a solution. But I know in advanced countries, they will definitely look for a solution. Now, that will affect you. So to avoid stories, like join channels like this, just like we have discussed, to learn, okay, to have more light on how you can protect yourself from cyber attacks. Very important. A lot of people don't know how the server was brought down during the hacktivist protest. Was that they engaged mobile phones of Nigerians. That is, they become what we call zombies. That is, the mobile phones, they became infected and they were used to attack a particular server. Now, people and their devices have been infected, but many of them are not aware. Many have been under surveillance and they're not aware. Many have had their data, sensitive data exfiltrated, they're not aware. We have some sensitive data of some high-profile persons. I've seen them on the darknet and they're not aware. A lot of things have been happening. So they need to understand these things and protect their personal data, take the measures they can, do what they can, follow these principles to protect themselves to an extent. The government can provide what they want to provide, but you need to do some things on your own. Take the security measures, proactive measures, and also reactive measures also to protect yourself. Of course, some individuals, they have companies. Okay, they need to protect that company. You see, so if you have a company and you get hacked as an individual, probably your sensitive data, probably a conversation or maybe a sensitive video, audio tape get leaked. It affects the company because they are linked. They say it's not the CEO of social company, it's not this of director of social company. So the reputation of that company becomes at stake because you were hacked. So individuals need to also learn. Okay, they need to be proactive, be reactive, and join live stream like this to learn more and engage with the best practices. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, my brother, Engineer Ben. Engineer Ben, once more, can you tell us where you come from in Nigeria? And let's now.
Okay. All right. I'm from Enugu State, eastern part of Nigeria. Although
So
I
which
didn't
part
grow
of
up in Enugu, or I schooled in Enugu for some years.
which part
I
of
grew up in
Enugu are you from?
Lagos. Yeah, you said?
Which part of Enugu are you from?
I'm from Suka.
Yeah, I told them that when I saw this, you know, I'm from Suka. When I saw it, I said, I'm an Suka Moeska now. You
Wow.
know, so you see, this word is too small. When I
Wow.
saw this name, I told them that this name is an international expert in this thing, but this name is an Soka name. So, and
Wow.
the guy I got the contact to get to you, I asked him, this name is an Osoka name. That's why I decided to ask you here to make sure.
Okay.
Because I know that Ugwuja can only come from Osoka. You know. Iboye when Eseka.
I'm a whiskey.
Okay. Yeah. Ezke. Ekole Ezke.
Wow.
Ekole Ezke.
I'm on you, Umup.
Umumu Pumezeke, Umumu Center.
Ah,
So,
Umup Center.
Umumu Center, okay.
Wow.
Umumu now. Right from Aji, but
Yeah.
I'm Oyero.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. I'm so happy.
So it's wonderful. So I we are going to collaborate and what I will take this
Yes.
thing you are teaching to a high level, whereby the world will hear your voice in this platform. So all children may record like this. Oh, Chukwumeri.
Yes.
Because when I was looking for somebody who would teach cybersecurity, and I got you, I never knew. No, you're buying Ska at this level. I'm not going to buy this business
Yeah.
to this level. So thank God, you see, thank God, thank
Yes.
God. Um, ọ ga-abụ na mgbe m na omememe ndị vice na moses abanwata nwata nwechiri omememe o omeme o.
Yes.
So thank
Yes.
you, Ben, for coming and thank you. Ah, nsiki the cardmon amụrụ m n'anụ maka ọdụ n'ọgụ nwanne China Benye. So na hom nwa nwanna asị ndị ha hafụ ha na ma ọ bụrụ hom. So thank you, Ben,
Yes.
for representing our people properly. I didn't even know you come from my divide when I was looking for you, but I'm proud. We are proud of you. Thank you.
Thank,
Thank you, Ben.
thank you very much.
So before you finally um, leave the live stream, Ben, what can you tell the world from your sense of cybersecurity and from the sense your experience from what I am doing? How do you see the future of this Chinedu Aniti TV?
Wow. Wow. Things like this is how it starts. Okay. Now I see a lot of future for this. Of course, just like we have mentioned about a lot of mention of some suggestions, ideas that are coming in. I know millions of people will be engaged, both in Africa. A lot they are being engaged, but more will come. Yes, and I see people because of the way you are going. I see lots of people coming in to partner, big organizations coming in from different places, United Nations, the rest of them coming in to partner because you have a global this and you know what you are doing. Just like you said, this is a live TV, not just what is common.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm well organized. Yes, I like the way it is going. So there is future for that. That is what most organizations are looking at. A professional who knows what he's doing and then can reach a global audience. See, so there's future. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, my brother. Thank you for coming to the show. Thank you. I'm grateful. I told you we're going to work it out. So, and we'll start maybe from the end of this month. We'll start.
Okay.
It can be we just find a day, maybe one weekend. Find a day, find a time that we'll be advertising it before 1 week before the time we advertise it to different agencies, to different people. Tell them there will be so and so on cybersecurity. Come and we'll call it a name with your name. Ben
Okay.
speaks security on Chinedanity TV. Or,
Wow.
just give it a
Wow.
name. When I
Yeah.
sit down, come up with something. And
Okay.
the world will hear your voice here.
Thank
I
you very
promise.
much. Thank you.
So thank you,
Thank you.
Ben, for coming. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
I'm
you for
so
having
proud of
me.
you. I'm so proud of
Yes.
you. And so proud of you.
Thank
So
you very
thank you, Ben,
much.
for coming. So my
All right.
people, you have seen Ben is on this show. And for those of you who know what the relevance of cybersecurity, what Ben has just ushered or what Ben has offered today, some of us cannot provide it when it comes to money. What Ben has offered here today, some of us cannot buy it when if it is for you to buy, but it is a free gift from Engineer Ben Ugwuja and Chinedu Anichi TV. So we are planning to give Ben a permanent slot monthly to come and be teaching cybersecurity and let the world know and let our people and Africa know that it is time. This is why we call it the African voice in diaspora. So thank you, Ben, for coming. And thank you all of you,
All
Mickey
right.
Brown,
Thank
Mickey,
you very much.
Mukamaka Joy. I can't mention all your name, Unity, and Jude Gabriel. And those of you on Instagram, Kofi Gatlin, Don Apasino, Isele, Nunu Jong, Chuma.odo, Anya Girl, Mebach, Informa 99, all of you that have been in this show, I appreciate your coming. And I tell you, always check us up, Chinedu Anichi TV on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, and other social media platforms. 8 p.m. Nigerian time, 1 p.m. Central American time, and 2 p.m. Eastern American time. Remember, Chinua Achebe told us something, and that's the what is propelling this show. When an outsider tells your story, it can never end without prejudice. And that is why Africans want to tell our own story. There are stories about Africa. Europeans have written, Americans have done movies about Africa, but it can never be like Africans talking their own talk. Africans showing who they are. And today we have Ben in an African voice telling us cybersecurity in Africa. And more will come. God bless you. I love you.